Friday, you know what that means. It's Beyond the Steps Day. We are so excited to be back with you this week. We have a show. It's the first time we've ever talked about this topic. So we love bringing new topics to the table. I am Melissa McDaniel Grisham, owner of Turning Point Dance Creations, here with my amazing, beautiful, brilliant co host, Bree Zabrowski, co founder of Apollo Performance. And we are talking today about the top 5 considerations that you should make before trying out for a collegiate dance team. We have Amy Leifer here with us today. You're going to learn a little bit more about her later. If you are a first-time guest or a returning guest to Beyond the Steps, we are a weekly video podcast that talks about all things dance, medicine, psychology, nutrition, sex abuse prevention, racism, equity that pertains to performance athletes. We tackle the hard topics and get answers to your questions from experts. So this week we are talking about the 5 considerations that you should make before trying out for a collegiate dance team. It is the season. It is time for you to audition, and it's not as easy as, hey, I think I want to do that. There is a lot of work and a lot of things that you need to consider before you go into it. So we want to talk about those and make sure that you are informed. Please make sure that you call your friends, text your friends, tag your friends, let them know to watch this episode. It's never too late to join in. You can also find this full episode on YouTube at Apollo Performance and at TP Dance Creations if you missed any of it a little bit later. So without further ado, Bree, would you like to introduce Amy?
Yeah, I'm so excited. I wish I would have had this episode when I was getting ready for college. This is such a great topic. So originally, Amy is from Texas, a graduate of Auburn University with a bachelor's degree in nutrition and dietetics. While at Auburn, she was a 3-year member of the Tiger Paws dance team, served as an assistant coach and choreographer for the Columbus Lions Arena football dance team. Amy's a 5-year member of the Atlanta Falcons cheerleaders, where she had the privilege of dancing and cheering at one of the largest sports stages at Super Bowl 51, which is so cool. She had the opportunity to travel to London with the NFL and perform at an NFL UK game. In addition to Amy's sports entertainment performance background, she's also an extensive instructor and choreography background, ranging from studio director and instructor to elite team choreography, plus American dance and drill team school, clinic and summer instructor and masterclass choreographer. Amy, welcome. We're so excited to have you today.
Thank you. It's so great to be here. I'm excited to talk all things college dance team.
Yeah, and I should mention, presently, she is also the head coach of Texas A&M Dance, and that is not in there, and we need to make sure that's what she's doing right now. And she has her own. I just learned, Amy, you guys have your own process and how you do tryouts. You really recruit. So I'm excited to hear more about that and your thought process on that as a coach. And it's important, I think, for people to know that that format also exists and how they can, get a leg up, especially in the recruiting process. So let's start by just, what do you love most about being the head coach of a collegiate dance program? You've done a lot. So what do you love about that?
That's a great question. I think what I love most is my team members. We have a really great culture. We're very family oriented. We're very close and tight knit. We have a lot of fun. We work really hard. And really, I think the biggest thing that I love is just coaching young women, building up young women, transitioning them from college to, post-career, and figuring out and giving them lessons that they can take from my team to their next, either, corporate America, or also if they want to dance professionally, NFL, NBA, hockey, you name it. Just trying to help also grow them into young women, and watching them blossom is an incredible thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I love that, because that you hear that so much. Like, well, what do you like? Why do you want to dance after high school? It's not like you're going to go do this professionally, but it really translates to whatever you're doing. Dance translates to life lessons, right? And it's whatever you're doing in your life, from the corporate world, or if you're not in the corporate world, to, like you said, if you want to move on and do those things, there's a place for it, and it really is such a part of forming that young adulthood, if you choose to go that path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm
Love
so
that.
glad, Amy, that you brought up, transitioning even from a collegiate team into a professional dance team. I danced arena for a few years, and then of course I have many friends who dance NFL and NBA, and people don't understand like that's a job.
Yes.
Like you, and it's a special skill set that you have to have, being able to not only perform and entertain and have that technique, but also engage a crowd that's paid money to come and be entertained in the
Yes.
moments when what they came to see is not happening. So,
Yeah.
I came to see basketball, and why are you out here? Well, I'm going to make you understand why I'm out here and actually be engaged during that time. So, I'm so glad that you mentioned that and mentioned like this collegiate program being kind of that bridge to that. So we like to start with basics here at Beyond the Steps. And since this is our first time ever having this topic, we know that some viewers who watch, are very used to us talking about competitive dance or concert dance and may not be very familiar with the collegiate dance team style. So,
Mhm.
what are some of the hallmarks of dance team choreography that set it apart from what some of our viewers might be used to?
I would say one of the biggest things that comes to mind is, like you mentioned, the game day atmosphere. You're dancing on the sidelines or in a stadium, on the football field, arena, wherever, and dancing for, if you're at a D1A school, 100,000 fans, and you're going from even your little sidelines, you're trying to dance as big and bouncy and energetic to reach everyone all the way up to the top row
Mm-hmm.
in a stadium of 100,000 people, or in a basketball arena of 20,000, which is a large basketball college arena.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is what stands apart for like college than any other, is the game day atmosphere, the game day camaraderie and traditions that colleges have. A college football pregame, you have Spirit Walk, which is where you walk down the street and you're performing sidelines down the street in a parade,
Mm-hmm.
basically like leading players in. And
Mm-hmm.
then at Auburn, we had where we met at a intersection and did like a full blown pepper rally before a game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the excitement and engagement and choreography is very different than a high school competition or a studio competition where you're on stage and you have these wonderful lights. Well, now you're outside
In the elements.
in the elements, pouring rain, and you carry on.
But that's super cool too, because that really is such a skill to be able to transition and be that versatile, where you can perform on a big stage for big crowds, but also there's something to be said for being that close to people and making
Yes.
that human connection and
Yes.
dancing, 5 feet away from somebody and looking them in the eyes. I mean, that can be intimidating too in its own right. And so having the ability and the experiences and the opportunity to do all of those things is so cool, and something not a lot of people can say. I mean, how many dancers can say I danced in front of 100,000 people, right? I mean, that's awesome. So very
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely.
And even like the smaller scale, like junior colleges, D3, I mean, they have the same game day atmosphere as the D1A program and do very similar traditions. But yeah, you're in, 10 feet away from the first row and you're right there and you're like, okay, I can't necessarily be awkward. I don't have stage lights who are drowning out the audience
Right.
or
Yeah,
the
they're there.
judges per se.
Yeah, they are absolutely there. One of the things that I used to try to communicate to people when I was dancing in the arena league is you not only have to worry about yourself and the crowd, you have to follow the game.
Uh-huh.
You have to follow whatever sport it is. In an arena, you get run over if you don't follow the game. Because it's so fast and you're in the end zone.
Yes.
But you have to know what's going on there so you can appropriately lead the crowd to where they need to be. And then you have to worry about dancing and doing it well and doing it correctly and looking good while doing it. It's a whole new layer
Yeah.
of stuff
Yeah.
that you have to work on.
The smile and the pep is also something that I think makes college dance team really stand apart, because that's not something that, even if you're on a high school drill team and you perform at football games, the pep in college is very different of like you said, the crowd engagement and, oh, here's an exciting play. Well, I have to be bouncy and bubbly and energetic
Mhm.
because we just scored a touchdown. And
Mhm.
that may not always come natural to
Right.
a dancer who just did studio.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, is there a dance team audition season? And this is actually gonna. We were having a little conversation before we started our show today. So, I want to incorporate that into this. Is there a dance team audition season?
Mhm.
And does everybody kind of do this around the same time? And what does the audition generally consist of? And kind of talk a little bit about that recruiting piece versus the traditional audition piece there.
So traditionally, like auditions, and it varies by schools. Some schools are going to a recruiting model. Some schools have done a recruiting model and now are going back to traditional auditions. I would say if there's a traditional audition for a school, it's usually middle of February to June, depending on the admissions timeframe for the school, the if the school competes at NDA or DTU nationals, a team isn't going to do auditions before they're competing at nationals, and that's usually like second weekend of April. Um, and so it just varies based on the school. When we did the audition process, the acceptance for my college is very late. I have some girls find out, if they're transferring from another school. I've had girls find out the week before my tryouts, and that was in June.
Right.
So we would have ours in June just because to try to get as many applicants as possible, or have those transfer students from, we have transfer students come from Blinn or Kilgore College, gives them an opportunity to continue dancing. Whereas some other schools who have their auditions in April, if they're a
Right.
transfer, it kind of is limiting.
Mhm.
Um, so anywhere from, it just depends on the school, but we have transitioned to a recruiting model, which a lot of the D1A and top tier programs have gone to this. And it's basically, there's still an tryout ish portion. We have girls submit videos of a long list of skills ranging from leaps to turns to, they do an intro video. I also go through an interview process with the applicants and one of our athletic directors as well. So there's still a portion of what we used to do for tryouts, but it's more so, do I have a connection with this dancer? Do I have a relationship with this dancer? Do I know that this dancer has wanted to be a member of my team for a significant amount of time? Are
Mhm.
they a hard worker? I've seen them grow over, I'll say this, a girl that I've known since 8th grade who is going to be a senior next year that I really want on my team. So I have seen her grow and progress since she's been in 8th grade. Um,
Mhm.
and the recruiting just really allows you to build the relationships with those dancers in a different aspect than tryouts.
Mhm.
There are some schools who have recruits, they start recruiting people as freshmen in high school.
Mhm.
We start our technical recruitment process is the fall semester of their senior year, like our official window. And then it just kind of ranges based on the school and how long some schools have been doing the recruitment. I think also plays a part into their timeline.
So if you're somebody that okay, I didn't know I wanted to go to Texas A&M. I got in at the last second. You've never heard of me. You've never seen me because I wasn't on your radar because you're recruiting. Is there still a chance that they can, if they missed that window, that typical window where you would be making your decisions, is there still a chance that somebody that wants to dance that maybe just found out about your dance team or your program could still get in at the last second, or if the process is already closed?
Unfortunately, now since we've gone to the recruiting process, my videos aren't due until May 1st, which I feel like is borderline kind of late compared to there's some schools who are due in October. But I do try to extend my deadline based on, I know that the admissions process is there. For the transfer students, if they have applied but haven't been accepted, like their admissions is pending, then their placement on the team will be pending based on admission status.
Right.
But if they've missed the March 1st deadline, unfortunately, they will have to wait until the next recruitment phase comes around. And I just encourage them to come and attend clinics and other events that we have throughout the summer and year to ensure that they didn't know anything about my team, that this is something for sure they want to be a part of, because it's a big time commitment and it's not for everyone. And so that's another thing is like, okay, let's get you to come to some events of ours. Let's ensure that this is the right thing that you want to do in college, and make sure that you're for sure you want to be a part, even though you just got accepted to A&M.
Right. Now,
I love that.
How do you find, okay, let me get my thoughts together. Recruits. So, my son plays football. So, they have people, scouts that come out to this high school combine day. The football players go to these different camps and there's quote unquote scouts there. They have this whole process where you post on Twitter and you tag the school of your workouts and your plays and you upload your stuff. Is that the process for being recruited for a dance team, or is it that structured? How does that work? How do you find these people?
So kind of, I would say like most college dance teams have summer intensives, summer camps. I mean, we do 1-day camps. There are schools that do week-long camps, and they're very popular. We max out all of ours, and I know a lot of other schools max out their participants every year. And that's really the best way for a dancer to know if they're a right fit for the school. And then after that, I'm like, oh, I've never seen this girl before. I really liked her. She did a great job. I'll reach out and make a connection and, invite her to one of our recruitment days, or, see if she wants to come and tour campus with some of my dance team members and have my dancers get a feel for her personality outside of dance. So all of our like summer events, I would consider are technically like a recruitment thing. I'm there, I'm watching everybody. I'm taking notes of like, ooh, this girl had really great leaps. Ooh, this person had really great turns. I really liked her showmanship and her performance when she learned combos. But then there are various companies across the nation that hold special college recruiting events. There's one in Arizona. I know there's one in Nashville in October. There is a company in Texas that has a week-long Texas tour, and a bunch of Texas colleges go to it. So we also try to get outside of our realm of just on-campus events.
Right.
Yeah. And so that gives others opportunities who can't necessarily travel to my school if it's 6 hours away, but I'm going to this event that's an hour away from them and we can connect there. So two different aspects of, it's not necessarily you're posting on your videos on Twitter. But I do encourage dancers to post videos on their Instagram accounts, or not necessarily TikTok. I'm more of like the Instagram. I want to see, like, I tell girls, I'm like, if I'm going to see and figure out who you are, I want to look up your Instagram and I want to see that you have posted dance videos, or you have a dance highlight that I can go and see. This is this girl's solo. Great, cool. Or I have some dancers who post turn videos, technique videos, and they'll tag me in them on their story.
Hmm.
So it's kind of similar to the process that your son goes through, just a little modified dance version.
Okay.
This has been, I mean, I don't know if everybody out there watching realizes how valuable this section just was, but there are
Right.
some really amazing tidbits. So basically, if you're a high school senior, tell me if I have this right, and you think that you want to dance in college, does like after the summer after you graduate is so clutch for you to start attending these camps at the very least right after you graduate so that they can see you well no the summer before you graduate it would be
Hmm.
the summer before.
I would even recommend, freshmen, juniors, or sophomores, all of them.
Just start
Just
going.
start going.
And it's not
It's
a
never,
commitment, it's just getting yourself in front of people that have the power to be able to make those decisions.
and it's a great experience for a dancer to just grow in a class, in an intensive, in a camp, in a clinic. Just to get that experience, step outside of your comfort zone, go and dance somewhere that you're not comfortable, like familiar with. And it's honestly never too early to start.
Mm.
And leverage your social media. Like we
Yes.
always say this on the show, but you harness the power of social media for
The
good.
positive way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is so great about what you just said is like, Amy, you said, I prefer Instagram. So it's almost like every coach is going to have
Mhm.
their own preference on what platform they're looking at and what platform they're comfortable with. And so you almost have to use all of them in that way because you never know what somebody's looking at when
Right.
they're researching you. And it is almost like a business card or profile in some way. So start cleaning up your social media as well. If you're just joining, I'm Bree with Apala, here with my fabulous friend and co-host, Melissa McDaniel Grisham. This is Beyond the Steps. We talk about all kinds of fabulous things on the show, but today we are with the head coach of Texas A&M Dance, Amy Leifer, and we are talking about the 5 things you need to consider before trying out for a collegiate dance program. And we just had an amazing section. So if you are just tuning in, go back and rewatch the first part of this. There are some really great tidbits in there that are really helpful if you think this is something you want to do. Basically, it's not too early to get started on your research and putting yourself out there. So if you're a high school freshman, start going, start figuring it out. It's not a commitment, but you do have to start putting yourself out there and thinking it through, because there are plenty of people that are already doing that. So be sure to like, share, subscribe, give us a follow wherever you are watching this, and get your podcasts. And yeah, we're going to keep it going. So Amy, I actually want to dive into the top 5 things now and start talking about what those 5 things are. So your number one, what is one thing dancers should consider before trying out for a collegiate program?
I think my top thing is admissions, and if the college has your career major, degree, desire, what are you going to do after college? And does the college dance team that you're looking at, does that university have the career that you want to go into after your 4 years?
So don't
Um,
just make the decision based on the fact that I really love this dance team. They don't have my
yes,
answer, but I'm
yes,
gonna go here.
But so
right.
what is your advice for somebody that's like, because you hear this a lot, especially now, people take a gap year and people are like, I just don't know. I don't know yet what I want to do. What is your advice for those people?
My advice would be to take a gap year.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
think that
Interesting.
that is the best way for you to get some experience in a work environment, in a work setting, whether you work at Starbucks or you intern at some corporate America top 5 accounting firm or whatever it is, to figure out, okay, is the medical field for me? No, I don't like blood. Do I want to be a teacher? No, I don't necessarily like kids. And just take that year to figure it out. So when you get to college, you have a better idea and plan of, okay, this is really where I want to spend the rest of my life working 40 hours a week or whatever time schedule you want. Okay, maybe you want to be a teacher because you want to have the summers off, or you want to be an accountant because you like math, and just take that time to figure it out.
But under no circumstances would you recommend somebody just go, I really like the dance team, so I'm going to go there. I have no idea what I want to do, but I like the dance team and I know I want to be on that program. Like you don't do that.
I would not recommend it because you're going to be spinning your wheels trying to figure out changing your major, doing like our school makes you declare right away.
Mm-hmm.
So you're spending from the get-go. If you want to go into some science field, you are starting with the sciences, the chemistries, the biologies, and all of that. And then you're going to roll into more advanced sciences. And if that's not something for you, you're wasting your time.
Mm-hmm. So, Amy, I have a follow-up question really quick to that. So I know that in athletics, there's a eligibility to play year-long requirement. Like it used to be 5 years. I don't know. I haven't been in college in many years. And then, you could redshirt and do all that kind of stuff. Is there that type of eligibility? Does this fall under the athletic department? And is there a certain amount of time that you can be on the dance team? Or is it as long as you are enrolled as a college student?
Well, and I'm going to piggyback on that because I know some dance teams are actual dance teams that are run through the university or the college, and then some are more clubs. Yes. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So I think they're trying to regulate how many years you can be on a team, because there has been some situations for junior colleges where some dancers are at a junior college for 3-4 years. At my school, we follow the NCAA. You have 4 years of eligibility, basically. In dance, there's not necessarily the option or red shirt, injure year, freshman year. You're dancing right out, fresh out the gate. So we do 4 years of eligibility. We joked around of, during COVID, they gave like a myriad of years of extra eligibility then to basketball. I think got 2 years. Football, I think got 1. I joked with some of my girls who were in the COVID era. I'm like, well, you have more years of eligibility. And they were like, yeah, my body is ready to go on to the next thing. 4 years of college dance is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And it gets, every year is harder and harder. And the level of dance gets more and more strict and stringent, crazy tricks and technical things every year. All right, on to Bree's question about club versus athletics. I think it's really based on the university and what the university wants, how they want to handle it. We're kind of a hybrid between athletics and a club. It's kind of complicated. There are some schools that are strictly athletics, and then there are some schools that are strictly club. Like I'm a staff member of the athletic department.
Okay.
Most of what we do is deemed athletics. 99% of what we do falls under the athletic threshold. Our funding and everything comes from athletics.
Okay.
I do know like club sports, it's hard. I think each school is just very different in that. I can't speak on the club sports much because I haven't experienced that side of how a dance team is run as a club sport, because I am fortunate that I'm in athletics.
But that's just something good for people to think about too. Doesn't it more have to do with funding? I'm just trying to think of like the reasons a dancer would want to be aware of that going in making their decision. Does that have any impact at all on the decision to dance in a certain program or not?
I think it depends on the university. There are some universities that take very good care of their club sport teams and provide funding and resources and all kinds of things for their clubs. And then there's some athletic departments that do the same. And then there's some athletic departments that don't take good care of their dance teams or spirit programs, and their club side is better. So I think it just really varies based on university, division, and, what the vision is of the university's athletic department or their club sport program.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you. That makes sense. So second one, what is the second thing dancers should consider before trying out or applying for a collegiate dance program?
So my second thing is dance related, and it's, do you meet the technical requirements of the team? Yes, I want everyone, and I preach this at our clinics and intensives, to be realistic with where you're at in your training. And do you meet the technical requirements? If they have a right aerial, a left aerial, a front aerial, and you only have one, where do you fall in making the team if you only have one of those skills and those two other are required, but you're lacking?
So this is important. This is important because there's an ongoing conversation in the studio world about artistry and technique versus tricks and skills, right? Like there's that ever evolving argument about how to find that balance, and do we find that balance, and where the place of tricks in studio and competitive dance, etc., as I'm sure you're aware. So, but be very clear. So if you're talking about dance team, this is absolutely skill based, and the more tricks, the better. Is that safe to assume?
I would also say that like movement quality is very important, and your showmanship is, I think, just as important. Like I want girls who can move and who don't look awkward doing one of our like very intense technical jazz routines. But then it's also we're jam packing those routines with an aerial, an insane turn combo that's going to have an aerial coming out of it and go right back into turns. And so I think college dance team is very much a happy medium between the two of it's very strong in the technical realm, but we also highly value the artistry and movement quality and emotion and performance aspect as well.
So would you say, okay, the requirements are, and I'm assuming that most audition programs, they are very clear about the requirements are. All the girls that I've sent to auditions, it's printed out. It's like, this is what they want us to have. Yes. So would you say I have 90% of these and I'm missing the left aerial? Because I miss a left everything. I can barely walk to the left. So I would never be able to do a left aerial.
Me too.
But I'm missing the left aerial. Don't go. Or is it, I have 80% of these things, I should still go because my showmanship could win them over? Or what do you, is there a percentage, or when is it a no-go, I guess is my question.
I think it's up to each coach's discretion. Like for me, I would say, okay, if you have a right aerial, it's very likely you'll be able to get a left. Most of my girls, we do open gym at least twice a month. They go to like an open gym in town, and we have an instructor and they do all those things. So I tell my girls, if you have one, you need to get the other. If you have both, you need to get your front. And having, if they start out with the right, we have now the left, or our team usually does a right aerial. So all of my girls who came in that didn't have it, but had a left, I was like, all right, your first thing that you need to accomplish over the summer before you start in August is your right aerial. So I wouldn't necessarily say there's like a percentage, but I think, to me, I would have way where, okay, she doesn't have this, but she has everything else. See where she stacks up in either the recruitment or the tryout process. And does she work hard? What are her recommendation letters look like? Do I think she's a person that's going to be able to grow and develop and get these skills? Or is it not likely going to happen for her? She's been coming to my clinics for a year and a half, has known the requirements, and still hasn't done what it takes to get them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not as simple as I have it, go, or I don't have it, don't go. It's not that simple. Nothing in life is that simple, by the way.
Yes.
Those students who are watching. So let's go on to the next one. What is your next consideration?
All right. My third consideration is this program and culture a right fit for you?
How do you find that out? How do you know if this culture is
How do you know? I would say it's best to visit the campus, see what it's about. Where I coach is in the middle of nowhere. We are out here with the cows. Literally, there's cow pastures all around. So is that a place where you want to go to school? And then going to like our camps and clinics and intensives, we have small groups where you get to meet the dancers and have more one-on-one interactions with them, see what they're like and how we all vibe together. They can see what our culture is like, how I interact with my dancers. And is that a place where you want to be? Did you go to an intensive and it was just extremely competitive in a negative way? You didn't feel like girls were welcoming. You didn't feel like when you walked in or you left, you felt great. You felt confident. You felt, oh, I loved it. I had so much fun today. Or did you leave and feel like, oh man, that was like really hard. It was really intimidating. I didn't have the best time. So I think the culture is, like we talked about earlier, of like going and taking classes, taking clinics, going to different colleges, and really just seeing and doing your research, weighing your pros and cons for each school. A lot of my girls also will say to participants, if you have any questions, like please feel free to DM me. I'm happy to talk to you about anything, let you know about what we do, or if you have questions about how we run things or coach, we'll talk to you about it all. We'll let you know, whatever. And so that's another way for dancers to make connections with their with the culture and seeing if this place is a right fit for them.
Absolutely. That's a good idea. You got to talk to people,
Yes.
get your information. If you are just now joining us, we are talking about the top things that dancers should consider before trying out for a collegiate dance team. It is not too late to join the show. We've talked about quite a few. We got a couple more to talk about. So please make sure that you tag somebody, watch the rest of this show. If you want to go back to the beginning, which you should, because we have some nuggets in here that you need to hear, you can go to YouTube at Apollo Performance or at TP Dance Creations and watch this from the beginning. Make sure you tell somebody, show it to your students who are considering this. It's such an important topic. All right. What's your next one?
So my fourth consideration would probably be what is the time commitment of the program, and does the program do what you want? Are you wanting to just go and do game day and dance at game day? And that's fine. There are tons of amazing colleges that just have game day and they dance at football, volleyball, basketball, soccer, literally just revolve around all of the game day things. And then there are some colleges that do game day and do a college dance nationals.
Well, in Amy, Apollo is so proud to partner with you guys, by the way. I mean, we're a very proud partner of Amy's team. And we got to learn a little bit about how insane their season is and how intense it is. And when you add in going to school, especially if
Mhm.
you've got a full load of classes, and then the time these dancers are putting into not only preparing for the games and all of those things, but also practicing for nationals, which is their, their sport and their moment of celebration of their entire year. They don't just exist for the games, they exist to really best themselves and go out there and show what they can do. And it's an immense amount of pride. It's also an immense amount of time. And we got to see you guys at your nationals and get some pictures and all of those things. But being in that environment, we were an exhibitor at nationals and we were
Mhm.
selling Impalas at nationals, and seeing the amount of teams and the amount of days and how big and stressful that whole week is and the build up to it. It's so much more than people realize. And so just asking yourself as a dancer, is this what I'm looking for? Is this really what I want? Because you guys traveled, you stay in a
Yeah.
hotel, and that's also money. And it's also, it's all the things. Right. So I think it is so important for people to realize and pull that curtain back a little bit and ask the right questions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is that something you guys are pretty, when you have people come to you that are interested in the program, is that something you have spelled out really clearly and broken out as far as like the expenses and the time commitment, like something they really can understand before they
Mhm.
get too deep into it?
Yeah, so we actually have that written out on our website of like or about us
That's
of
great.
it's about 20 hours a week in the fall, and then in the spring um it varies. I mean, there are some weeks where we have 4 practices and 2 men's basketball games and 1 women's basketball game.
Wow.
And my full team goes to every single game for basketball because that's our big deal at our school. And so we have about 30 home basketball games between the 2 teams. And then we also travel for March Madness and then any other of like conference tournaments. So it varies, but it is a good thing to look into of like, what is the practice schedule for this team? What games and sporting events do they attend? How many hours a week is the sporting events on top of the practices? And then do they also have required study hours? Do they have required
Conditioning and workout.
conditioning workouts, like public appearances or any other like charity community service work they require every semester? And so just really getting a good grasp if you are looking at doing sorority or any other organizations while you're in school, considering that time commitment as well as dance team.
Mhm.
How many hours are you taking in school? Are you going to take 12 hours and then load up on some summer classes? What is your major? Is the time commitment for your major a lot? So maybe you need to weigh in that and other orgs or just dance team as well.
Mhm.
Because it's a lot. It's a
Yeah, it's a
lot.
part-time, it's essentially a part-time job, or
Yes.
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 almost approaching full-time
Right.
at
Yes.
college.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a really good one. What is your last consideration, Amy?
Yeah. My last consideration, Bree kind of touched on this, is cost. Not only what does it cost to be on the dance team, but what is the cost for the school? In state, out of state? Is it a school? I know there's some colleges that are so gracious. They allow their dance teams and also cheer programs to waive out of state tuition. So is that offered at the university that you're interested in? How much does it cost to be on the dance team? Do you pay for uniforms? Or like my kids, the only requirement is they pay for their nationals flights. Um, and the university provides, or we do fundraising for everything else, which is another aspect of, okay, well, I don't have to pay, but I need to do fundraising. And that's a part of my dues expenses kind of situation. But there are some programs that are not as fortunate that have to provide, or if you're a club team, you may have to pay a little bit more out of pocket than some other programs, and really looking at those things.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all fantastic things to consider. I'm like sitting here going, this is a gem of an episode.
Right.
Well, thank you.
This needs to be seen by every high school student that ever walked the planet. So I really hope people are sharing this. If you're just joining, this is Beyond the Steps. We talk about a lot of things on this show that affect performance athletes, but the one that we're talking about today is with the head coach of Texas A&M Dance, Amy Leifer. We're talking about the 5 things dancers should consider before trying out for a collegiate team. And really, I think you could replace dancer with any sort of performance athlete out there, or athlete in general. I think these things apply when you're making decisions about transitioning from high school to college. And I think you could replace dancer with any type of athlete you want. So this is an important conversation. Please, parents, watch this, share it with your students. Directors, share this with your students. Like, this is only going to help. And the more we know, the better prepared these kids are going to be transitioning into their collegiate life, and the happier, hopefully, everybody is.
Mm-hmm.
But Amy, since you're new to this show, the one thing that we do every single week is we assign homework to our guests. And we want them to just one thing they can work on related to this topic between now and next week's episode to sort of start, shifting their energy towards this thing, or, improving or gaining more knowledge in this space. So what is your homework challenge for our audience today?
I would say my homework challenge is for everyone to go and do research on at least 3 different colleges and pick them for different reasons, not just because they had this incredible nationals routine, but pick them for they have a great game day atmosphere. Their culture is incredible. They offer some great scholarship opportunities. And try to sign up or do some research around, are you available to go and explore any of the dance events that they have coming up? Now is honestly the perfect opportunity for you to register for any summer events that any colleges have and start getting your foot in the door. Take the leap. College dance is incredible. But I would say definitely start doing your research, look up 3 schools, and really get to know what their program is about. Stalk their social media pages, visit their website, read everything on their website, because they will tell you everything you need to know about their expectations, their technical requirements, and what it takes to be on their team, what their team is about, their history of the program, and just really see if this is a good fit for you. If you love dance, I would highly encourage you to continue to explore and chase your dreams and do what you love, which we all here love to dance at some point in our lives, or still are involved in some way. And so if you still have that same love for dance, I would highly encourage you to continue to explore your possibilities to dance in college.
And you need to go back and watch this episode from the beginning. But I cannot stress enough, the thing that we're walking away with today is it's not too early to start. If you are a freshman in high school, this is for you. Like, start putting yourself out there and attending some of these events so that you can be seen, because as we heard from Amy, we're shifting to that recruiting model more and more and more, and people need to know who you are. So don't wait until your senior year of high school. Start now.
Yes.
We also do our own homework here on the show at Beyond the Steps by challenging you all to take our free Steps Initiative course. It is a 5-part course series that we curated during the pandemic. It's served as a catalyst for this show. It is still free and available, but it's going to touch on everything from nutrition, gender inequity, sex abuse and prevention, racism, dance, medicine, and science, and more. Each module was curated by an expert in their field. And again, it is completely free. Go at your own pace. It is fantastic. Just a great program for you to lay a foundation on knowledge in these specific areas and sort of be a jumping off point for you to go and learn more on your own. So Melissa popped that link in. You can click on that and sign up to take it for free. Again, you can go at your own pace. Nobody's rushing you, but I highly encourage you to do that, because when you know better, you do better. Amy, how can people get in touch with you and also find out more? I know you said the website is a great resource, but to participate in any of the dance events at Texas A&M and start getting involved in that recruiting process, how can people reach you, and what's the best way for them to figure that out?
So I would say the best way to reach me is my email, and some people slide into my DMs on Instagram. I am not the best at checking them, but I promise I will get back to you. But then also on our Aggie Dance Team Instagram is where we post all of our dates and everything first. And then there's more information on our website, but also our registration link is on our Instagram. So I would say Aggie Dance Team, at Aggie Dance Team, it's very simple, is our Instagram handle. But then in any other college, I would say stalk their Instagrams. That's where they're usually posting the information first. We post all of our dates multiple times, stories, posts, videos, a lot of fun stuff on there. But then I can drop my email in as well if y'all want to include it. It's athletics.tamu.edu. But it can also be found on my Instagram page, which can be navigated from the Aggie Dance Team Instagram.
Okay. And the Aggie Dance Team is at Aggie Dance Team. That's the Instagram, correct?
Yes, at Aggie Dance Team. That's it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. You're amazing.
Thank you so much, Amy. This has been
thank y'all.
Amazing show. Once again, if you missed any of it, please go back from the beginning. Share with everyone who can use this information. We will be back next week with a new show and a new guest, and we hope you will join us then, 3:30 Eastern, at Apollo Performance or at TP Dance Creations. Until then, we hope you continue your journey beyond the steps. See you next week.
Have a great weekend, everybody.